The first time I was accused of race baiting was in the early 90s. At the time, I objected to a bunch of jihadists touring the country, recruiting young people from youth clubs by showing videos of atrocities in Kosovo. The second time I was accused of race baiting was in the mid-90s, 1996, 1997, when I challenged the government's policy on regeneration and said having poor communities compete with each other for resources, where the white working class is always lost, was a recipe for disaster. 2001, the riots took place in the northern towns. 2001, 9/11 happened, and then that was followed by 7/7. I've never been race baiting.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011, he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. Harood Shah, Abdul Jabbar, Sean Fielding, Shisha Bars, Riaz Ahmed, Buying Sweets, Chohan and Mushtaq, Land on the Cheap, Dr. Carolyn Wilkins, Under Attack, Another No Comment, Shabir Ahmed, Glodic Baths, Debbie Kashmir, On the Run, Don't Dare Complain, They'll Call You a Racist Son. The cartels control the postal votes and the paedophiles run free. Welcome to Oldham, home to corrupt councillors and their childhood criminal friends. And in control of it all, at the top of the tree, Jim McMahon, the samosa nibbling MP. Still silent on how he used the funeral of the butchered soldier, Lee Rigby. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. Cartel Town. Grooming gangs. Postal vote fraud. Paedophile protectors. Still barefaced lies. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to the rabble, my fellow rabble. I am told we are now, as well as being far-right racists, I am now a race baiter. Now the problem with being a race baiter when you're my colour is who am I going to race bait? And how am I going to race bait? And more importantly, in a town like ours, there is no need to race bait. What is taking place is clear for all of us. Okay, the chat's up so everyone can say hello. I'm going to try and block people properly this time if things go out of hand, so please bear with me if that has to happen this week. And as always, please, this is patron supported. The only way we can make these transmissions happen is through people kindly donating. It's £1. For most of you, it's £1. So, all I ask people is click on the Patreon link and sign up to £1 a month. It's not even a week, Teresa. I think Teresa mentioned last week it was £1 a week. It's not, Teresa. It's £1 a month. And, of course, that's if you can. And if you can't, please many of you will have an inbox of invites from me. That's just asking you to click and like the page. I know thousands of you read what I write and listen to these, whatever these things are, whenever you can. So all I ask in return, even if you can't, times are tight, even if you can't find a pound a month, just click the like button on the page. Apparently it helps with my analytics and all sorts of stuff. I'm just reading Teresa's response. She didn't have her glasses on. That's all right, Teresa. I'll let you off. Okay, it has been wow. What sort of week has it been? Yeah, let me say some hellos though. No. Mark, Carth, Wilkinson, good evening. Hi, Mark. How you guys doing? Mark Birchall, Paul's always here. Paul Boots is here. Karen's here. Brilliant. Anita's here. Yeah. And I'm looking for Moab. I'm not sure if Moab's here. He sent me a message earlier saying the football was on. So the football starts in 10 minutes. So I don't think I'll get through what I need to get through in 10 minutes. But you never know how we get on. Okay. Let's get on with today. It's serious, actually. Today is more serious than it's ever been, really, if you ask me, because we saw what happened this week. We saw the consequences of what happened this week when Debbie Barrett Cole essentially broke down on one of my emergency transmissions during the week, and I think we all felt for her. It's very easy to commentate from the outside, but when you're on the front line like Debbie is, and people are, she's scared to go into the town centre of her own town to do her shopping because she's scared what these people will do to her and how they'll attack her. And they are dangerous people. I know I joke and I try to come across, as I'm all right with it all. But really, no, these people are dangerous people. And the dangerous people led by dangerous politicians. The politicians endorse these people. This is something's going to happen in our town, unfortunately, I feel. And it's because the police aren't doing their job. It's as simple as that. They're protecting our politicians. So, let me bring this up. Oldham Eye has been speaking to Jay Beecher for about the best part of a year. Now, Oldham Eye clearly is not me. And Jay got in touch with me about 7 or 8 months ago. And he said, Roger, just bear with me. I'm busy, but I'm going to get round to Oldham. I've had a look at everything you've put up. And you know what? The pattern is replicated across the country. What you're experiencing in Oldham is replicated across the country. The only difference is, in Oldham, you guys are speaking out about it, and you've managed to navigate the traps that they set. And we know what the traps are. Far-right racists. And here we have the Labour Council leader, now nationally disgraced, internationally disgraced. For those who don't know, Jay Beecher is a respected journalist. He wrote for the Times and Telegraph and the newspapers that everyone looks at. And he's gone with it. And he's gone with it knowing full well that the local press have failed us. Charlotte Green, Jennifer Williams, Nick Brown or whatever his name is from the Oldham Times, all of them, they have failed us because it's very clear to all of us they're in the pockets of the politicians. And here we have a nationally respected journalist hit out at Sean Fielding. Multiple claims of harassment and bullying of anti-grooming gang campaigners, because that's what we essentially are. And let us not be in any doubt whatsoever as to what this man has done. He has written to the employers of people who are speaking out, attempting to get them sacked. People he has never met, people who've never said a bad word to him, people such as Mark Wilkinson, a retired police officer, Jane Barker, who's on a PhD scholarship of some form, an Oldham girl doing well at Manchester University who's reliant on a PhD scholarship, Mark's daughter, Sarah, who teaches, I think, at a primary school, lives on his street. Moib, my friend Moib, who all he did was stand by me. And I've made the mistake of referring to Moib as the secretary of the local mosque. Moib, my apologies. You're not the secretary of the local mosque. You're the vice chairman of the local mosque. I'm not sure that makes it any more reason to call you a racist and a far-right supporter and try and get you sacked from a 25-year career, successful career in the civil service. He's wrote to them, repeatedly wrote to them, repeatedly lied about me, about Paul Boots Errock, about Debbie Barrett Cole, calling us criminals and Tommy Robinson fans and far-right racists, and these people shouldn't be associating with us, and how they were bringing their organisations into disrepute. That's what this scumbag has done. And so I tell you what makes it worse. I can't mention any names here, and I've tried to get it out of the council, and of course the council won't do any investigation into this scumbag. People, my information, my intelligence, is that people have lost their livelihoods as a consequence of what this man has done. So the victims we know about are not the only victims out there. He has wrote to a whole host of employers, of ordinary people in this town. He has found out who they are and wrote to their employers. And after writing to their employers, particularly in the private sector, these people have been sacked. They are now unemployed. They've had breakdowns because of what this man has done. Someone asked me today, I posted something earlier on today. Apparently, it's Facebook lies. None of this is Facebook lies. I presented some of the evidence, and one of these days I'm going to go through every one of these emails. But we want the police to act, don't we? That's what we want to do. But this is what he did. He can't help himself. Does he look in the mirror? He's criticising the Home Secretary because apparently she's bullied members of the civil service. Apparently she's bullied members of people she works with, not random strangers who are campaigning against the grooming and gang rape of children. That's who you've bullied, Sean Fielding. That is who you've bullied. And he puts this out there, and he comes from a town where his mate, Debbie Kashmir, was sacked from the shadow cabinet for bullying. It seems that the Labour Party, as well as being proven to be racist, has a bullying problem. Maybe that's where he gets it from. He sees it around him and thinks this is the way to behave. Yes, Karen, weasel. Absolute weasel. But my issue isn't just Sean Fielding today in that way. Because I know all of these victims went and did the right thing. They didn't go to his house and smash his windows, or wait for him one dark night and smash his face in. No, what they did was go to the police. Because in a country like ours, we expect the police to act. When harassment takes place, when malicious communication takes place, when there's misconduct in public office, we trust our democracy and our democratic institutions. And we went to the police. 7 weeks, 8 weeks they waited. Nothing. And guess what happened? Debbie Barrett Cole, at the time of a council meeting, when we all know that they were trying to scupper Brian Hoban's motion, the disabled grandmother went outside his house to peacefully protest. Now remember, all of these were endorsing during lockdown the Black Lives Matter protests. Every one of these Labour politicians endorsed Black Lives Matter protests. The right to protest is a key value of our society. They all went and said on the internet, even put pictures up of them on the marches or supporting the marches. Jim McMahon even had a placard held up, Black Lives Matter. And what happened to Debbie Cole? Has she peacefully protest outside his house? Okay, the police turn up because he's the council, he's the leader of the council, and 3 police officers immediately arrived. And then they all left, agreeing with her that she hadn't broken the law. And then this happens. This happens.
Went to be peaceful protest outside.
They've obviously had a chance now to review the officer's body worn video.
Right.
On obviously the video that you've posted.
Yeah.
On is it Facebook?
Yeah, I was live on Facebook, yeah.
Right. What the conclusion is?
Yeah.
Because you were outside his address for 30 minutes or so with a loud hailer, they were saying it's an infringement really.
What's an infringement?
Because there's other ways you can approach Mr. Fielding. He's got an office, he's got appointments for. He shouldn't have attended his own address.
Right. Well,
Right.
I will tell you. I have emailed Mr. Fielding. He doesn't respond.
Right.
He's not in his office because he's mostly working from home. That night that I attended outside his house to do a protest, he's been working from home. I've seen him on TV many times from home. When he's done interviews on TV, so I assumed he was at home because he's been at home most of the time.
I think the point that you attended his own address and you've been outside for 30 minutes with a loud hailer and somebody's had cause to phone the police regarding feeling harassed by it.
Right, I weren't harassing anybody.
Well, obviously, somebody's phoned the police because of your actions.
Right.
Mr. Fielding's partner, she felt harassed by it.
I never even mentioned Mr. Fielding's partner in any way, and it was a peaceful protest. And the police, like you said, they did attend, and they did. I actually said, I'm not breaking any laws, and I weren't breaking any laws.
What we're saying is, obviously, evidence has been reviewed. They've looked at the body.
Who's reviewed it?
It's the senior leadership team at Oldham.
Right.
Okay, and the detective. They've looked at the body worn camera of the bodies that attended, and also the footage that you've put on Facebook.
Right.
They're saying what it is. It was excessive 30 minutes with a loud air out somebody's house, and it amounted to.
It weren't excessive.
Behaviour.
It weren't antisocial behaviour because it was a private it was a peaceful protest. That's what it was.
You've attended his own address and been there for 30 minutes.
But that's where he's working from. He's working from home.
Right. So I've already told you we've reviewed the evidence, and it's all good and well making your point on protesting. We're not saying you can't protest.
Yeah.
But outside his own address is not the place to do it.
Well, there's no law against you are allowed to protest outside somebody's house. Look at Dominic Cummings for a start.
Well,
come on.
On this occasion.
Well, no, it's not. It's not on this occasion. You're allowed. You're allowed by law to protest outside somebody's house.
There's legislation that prevents people from going to somebody's public address.
I actually wasn't stood outside his house. Actually, I was actually across. I was.
Somebody for 30 minutes.
Come on, I weren't harassing anybody for 30 minutes.
Right. Well, all I'm saying to you, there's other ways you can do that. He's got his own office, hasn't he?
Like I said, he's not in his office and he's not responding to his emails.
No. Right. I'm just going to read some bits out about ASB and stuff like that.
Who's typed this up, if you don't mind me asking? What are you reading out?
This has come from our senior leadership team and advice they've taken from legal departments.
All right. Okay.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not here to lay down. I'm just saying this is what the evidence has been reviewed and this is what we've come up with. And what we're saying is what you've done is paramount to the first stage of harassment, really.
No, it's not.
So what I'm going to do is warn you not to go back and obviously not to go back and do what you're doing, because if we get another complaint regarding you attending 105Q Road.
Well, you just give his address out because I've never given his address out.
Well, you're outside, weren't you? Okay.
Well, I was on the street.
Anyway, but harassment's more than one occasion.
I wasn't harassing anybody.
Well, somebody phoned the police and said she'd been harassed by what was going off outside. Okay.
Right, I wasn't harassing anybody. And the police, like you said, the police attended and they could see I weren't harassing anybody.
The evidence has been reviewed. I'm the area sergeant for Failsworth. I had nothing to do with anything on the day. I've just been asked to come and explain and
Right, okay.
to tell you not to go back. Because
Right.
if you do go back and you continue a course of conduct, it's likely to come under the harassment legislation.
Right, okay.
And obviously you can be arrested for that.
Right,
So
okay.
The simple fact is, just don't go back and don't do it. Okay?
Right, okay.
Right. So I'm going to read this legislation out to you. Okay, basically what you did was antisocial behaviour, but it leads into the Harassment Act.
No, it wasn't antisocial behaviour, and I don't agree with that at all.
Right. Well, we're saying that your actions have caused disturbance in the neighbourhood. Okay. So ASB is defined as conduct that has caused or likely to cause harassment, alarm or distress to any person. Conduct capable of causing nuisance or annoyance to a person in relation to their occupation of residential premises. Aye, that's going to be his own. Conduct capable of causing housing related nuisance or annoyance to any person. So
Which I didn't do any of that though. I didn't do any of that.
The fact that somebody's phoned the police and said there's a disturbance in the street and they've been annoyed, obviously that fits the ASB legislation. Okay.
But the police attended, like I said.
Right.
And you know that. 3 police officers, it weren't just one, there was 3 police officers attended.
I'll also explain that the evidence has been reviewed since. I believe the police officers weren't there for the...
They said they was going to stay there and just make sure that it was a peaceful
The full time or the...
No, they weren't there, but they said they was going to stay there for the full time. But then they went because they saw that there was no laws being broken.
The evidence has been reviewed. That's what I'm saying. They've watched your video on Facebook, which lasts 30 minutes, and you are with a megaphone outside the house for that length of time, aren't you?
Well, I'm across the road,
Right.
so I weren't harassing anybody. I weren't.
Well, at least one person believes she was harassed by what you did.
Who's that? Who's that?
That's Mr. Fielding's partner. Okay.
Right.
Well, we're saying if you go back to that location and do the same thing again, and Mr. Fielding's present, it's the household, so it will amount to a course of conduct relating to harassment.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So
well, I didn't harass anybody, so
okay.
so he's got you wasting a load of time. I'm afraid, lads.
Right. Basically, that's it. All I'm saying. There's ways and means of making a public protest against somebody. But not going to their home address.
Well, like you said, it's public knowledge anyway, his address anyway. But you are allowed to protest outside somebody's house. You can look that up. You're allowed.
Right, well,
you are allowed to do that.
Well,
so I didn't break any laws.
Causing some harassment.
Well, I weren't causing any harassment. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, because somebody gave a statement saying that she was causing harassment on that night.
Well, I didn't. Well, if she's done a statement, that's fine.
I mean, this is the end of it, isn't it? Really, because all you need to do now is keep away from that address and don't.
Well,
go down with the megaphone and start shouting all over things.
Okay, all shouting right. What, the truth?
Well, whatever. I weren't there. I don't know what you said, but
I could tell you. I could tell you if you want.
Somebody at that address.
Do you want me to tell you what I said?
Nice, is it somebody tipping up outside your house for half an hour with a megaphone?
Well, it's not nice, but then it's not nice what he's doing, is it? Right, but I'll tell you what he's been doing if you want. Do you want me to tell you what he's been doing?
I'm not here for that because that's been investigated by other people. I'm the neighbourhood sergeant. I'm Paul Archer. This is Damien Hartley Pickles. He's one of the beat officers down at Fairless. So we cover that area where Mr. Fielding lives. Right.
So are you covering all these kids that's in this park as well? Because there's a load of crap going on down there, isn't there, at Fairless with all these kids?
As you speak, Mr. Pickles is problem solving as we meant as speak.
You know, it's a shame because they're causing a load of...
Memorial?
Yeah. Yeah, they're causing a load of trouble, aren't they?
Yeah, but basically, a lot of it was on Halloween night, weren't it?
It was horrendous on Halloween night. There must have been about at least 100 kids outside near Tesco's and what have you.
And we had staff on that came around and dealt with it. But I think people are complaining about events over the summer, and it's not been as bad as that, is it really? No,
it's been worse. Yeah, it's been getting worse, hasn't it, just lately?
Right. Anyway, I'm not here for that. Damien's looking into that.
Well done, Damien. Get him sorted.
I'm the area sergeant, so I'll be helping him with it.
Well, it's very nice to meet you, area sergeant. It's very nice to meet you, but I haven't broke any laws, so I'm okay.
Well, you have not at the moment.
No, I haven't.
What I'm saying is...
And I won't break any laws, but what I will do...
Don't complete that course of conduct that's likely to cause somebody else harassment because...
Well, no, what I will do is I will hold my right to protest, a peaceful protest, and I won't be stopped doing a peaceful protest. I am allowed to protest outside somebody's house. So you can, you're recording it, I can see you're recording it. So you can go back to Mr. Fielding now and say, all he needs to do is do his job. That's all he needs to do, really.
All the is basically to say that don't go back because you've now been warned on the section of the Harassment Act. Okay.
I'm being warned on the section what?
Of the Harassment Act.
All right, and what does that mean?
That means that for a course of conduct, right, it's got to be on more than one occasion, so 2 occasions. So if you go back and do the same thing,
right,
you're likely to be dealt with for harassment.
Okay.
On that first occasion, somebody's gave a statement to the police and they were harassed by your actions.
Well, they weren't.
You were.
No, they weren't. That's her word against mine. I'm afraid.
I mean, that's for the court and the judge deciding.
Yeah.
Not for me.
Yeah.
But I'm here just to tell you, don't go back, please.
Right. Okay. Okay.
All right.
Okay. But I will. Protest when because I'm allowed to.
Don't protest at his own
Obviously, I'm not going to protest during
lockdown.
lockdown.
But he's got his own office. He's got the council building. Isn't he?
Well, he needs to do his job then, doesn't he?
But, there's not just Mr. Fielding that lives at that address. There's other people and neighbours as well that.
Yeah.
I've got it for half an hour as well, and allowed a megaphone, so they don't need it.
And every one of them now know what's going on, don't they?
Right. Okay.
Do you know what's going on at Oldham Council?
I'm not. Like I said, there's other people investigating that.
Do you know what? He needs to stop wasting police
Look at
time
him.
and get on
Can't
with
make
his job.
eye contact. Look at him.
Anyway, it's been lovely meeting you, lads. I'll show you the door. Don't forget your hat.
I nearly did.
Don't forget your hat. That's where
I will enjoy my sandwich if my dogs don't nick it. Now I'm showing you to the door.
Don't forget your hat. Don't forget your hat. Okay. Couple of things. 1. Notice how he claimed that whilst he claimed that the harassment had been reported by Mr. Fielding's partner, who I'll go on to very, very soon, at no point did he make any reference to how or what Debbie had done to Mr. Fielding's partner. In fact, it was very, very clear through watching all of that this had nothing to do with Mr. Fielding's partner because he kept referring to Mr. Fielding. And he kept repeating and trying to tell her not to go back, even though protesting outside the leader of the council's house in a Western liberal democracy, well, it's not unlawful, is it? It is not illegal to protest outside Sean Fielding's house, particularly when he's a liar. Ain't you, Sean? You're a liar. You can sue me if you want, Sean. I've got the paperwork to prove it. You're a liar. Absolute liar. The police officer, I think about a dozen times, said, don't go back. Don't go back. You're likely to get arrested. And I'm sorry, Debbie. I don't even know if you're watching this, Debbie, but I'm really, really sorry. But I'd love you to go back. Obviously after lockdown. If the need arose, I'd love you to go back. Because if you did get arrested, and if you did get charged, this would get laughed out of court. And isn't it a shame, Debbie and Paul, that they didn't charge us after what was it? The Representation of People's Act were both his mates, Debbie Abrahams and Jim McMahon, doctored and falsified evidence and took it to the police, trying to get us falsely arrested and charged. That failed. These people think we're scared of the courts. We're not scared of the courts. We're not scared of the courts because in a court of law, everything will come out. And who these people are. And what these people have done. Oh, Debbie's here. Sorry, Debbie. I didn't know you were here, but I'm going to add you to this bit about the broadcast. I am going back. And so you should, Debbie. And so you should. These people are disgraceful. And that policeman, many of us have complained to the police for serious harassment, proven harassment, malicious communication, misconduct in public office, death threats. And the police have sat on it. And then here they are. Tell me something. Please tell me something. Am I reading this wrong? Or does it look like the police are in the pockets of these politicians? Tell me. Because I have friends in the police force. And I'm struggling with this because they're decent people. But I go back to this point. The police should never be controlled by a police and crime commissioner, because a police and crime commissioner in Greater Manchester is Andy Burnham, Sean Fielding's mate and his girlfriend's boss. Now let's move on to his girlfriend. A 27-year-old, remember him ranting at that council meeting? My 27-year-old girlfriend felt intimidated by and harassed by a disabled grandmother. And when 3 police officers turned up, she was so intimidated and so harassed and so scared, she didn't come out to speak to the police officers. Now, I know what I would have done. If 3 police officers turned up to my door and there was a loon outside trying to kill me, or I felt, intimidated by, I'd be running to the police officers and standing behind them and pointing my fingers and saying, it's him, it's her. No. This was once again, this was the political exploitation of the police. Played at the beck and call of these politicians. Now let me put this up. You all need to see who this woman is. Sarah Hallworth. That's right, isn't it, Sarah? You're a primary school teacher, weren't you, Sarah? Gave up your job in a primary school and then miraculously ended up in a high-flying job at the mayor's office. Now, Sean Fielding's already on record saying he had nothing to do with her getting the job. Here she is, Sophie Hallworth. Sophie Hallworth is her name. Here she is with Jezzers. Did you, I've got to ask. Did you ask him? How can I hate a Jew today? Was that part of what you discussed? There, look at Enterprise Coordinator for Salford and Bear. Real ale and pie fanatic. And this is what we did. Because the police have failed to act and then went and harassed Debbie, because that's what I think they did, went and harassed Debbie. We put a petition up. It's now well over 500 signatures, by the way, and we're doing all right with it. It's still on there. I checked. Checked with change.org, and apparently you can put a petition up asking for the arrest of politicians, and they've done it before. So if you tried to get rid of it, Sean, that's the reason why it's still up, because it's legal. Yes, David. 2-tier policing. As clear an example as possible. And of course, after we put this up and after we had that emergency broadcast, just after we put this up, the police sprung into action and contacted the victims to finally arrange, I think, to take statements. This man has committed a crime. In a democracy like ours, politicians cannot be seen to be above the law. They cannot. And if they are, then our democracy does not exist. Yes, Sean did, didn't he, Paul? Sean decided he was going to abuse me on the petition. And then deleted it because he's a coward. Hiding behind the police to try and get them to do his dirty work against a disabled grandmother whose only objection to Sean Fielding was why he was hiding that Shabir Daddy Ahmed had worked for Oldham Council. I promised I'd get Mr. Peter Brown up in a bit and a phone call, so I just need to go through a couple of things. Now, I've been having an entertaining time with Oldham Council's legal services. I contacted them several months ago. You can see July, it says, asking them for what's called a subject access request. And I think every one of you should do the same. Everyone who's lost a job or are worried that the council may have, because they've admitted to monitoring my social media account, I think every one of you should contact the council, because my fear is that they've been communicating about you. Now, the problem with the council is they refused my subject access request, and it's now with the ombudsman. But like the scumbags that they are, they're claiming they sent me a letter on the 17th of July. And they nicely sent me the letter in September, October, dated the 17th of July. Of course, in the email world, everything is sat in my inbox. There was no email on the 17th of July, so I've been asking them for simply to send me a copy of the email. Send me a copy of the email from the 17th of July that you reckon you sent me. We've all done it. I've done it at work. Oh, I've sent you an email, mate. Oh, can you resend it me? And I just resend the sent email and the date comes up. That's the reason. The date comes up and the time comes up when the original one was sent. Oldham Council seem to have a problem with sending me the original email. Why is that? It's because you didn't send it me, did you? And they've got this nonsense where they think I'm going to reply to an anonymous account that no one has the courage to put their name down to at the council. Why is that? Why should we be engaging with something called legal services? Why won't any one of you put your name on it? So, of course, I refuse and copy in both the chief executive, Dr. Carolyn Wilkins, and the borough solicitor, Paul Entwistle. And I know why they don't want to be copied into it, so they can deny having ever seen it. It's no more complicated than that. Continuously, these people think we're stupid. And in my last communication, I asked about the subcommittee, because people had complained. And I'm hearing these complaints didn't even make it to the committee. A subcommittee met, and a subcommittee decided there was nothing to see. That's right, nothing to see. He writes on council email, calling people far right, lying about them, trying to get them sacked. And this subcommittee met and said, there's nothing to see here. What a corrupt council. What a corrupt council. And the two councillors and someone independent that they won't say, but I know Paul Entwistle has everything to do with this. The two councillors, and this woman is involved, Elizabeth Drogan. Someone asked me last week, what does she look like? That's what she looks like. Head of Democratic Services at Oldham Council. That's what she looks like. That's the woman who was involved in the secret coordination of the council meeting. When the screen went blank and the screens came up and you could see someone was in the shadows, Wizard of Oz style, issuing instructions. That's her. The two councillors, Pam Byrne, Conservative, Saddleworth North. Pam, how can you even claim that Sean Fielding hasn't got questions to answer and isn't in breach of your own councillor code of conduct? Pam, how about I write to your children? I mean, you look like a grandmother. To the maybe your school where your grandchildren go to, and make an allegation that you're a sex offender. How about that, Pam? Would you enjoy that? Of course you wouldn't. How about I then write to your daughter, your husband's employer or something, and say you're a bunch of racists, and you wear Ku Klux Klan masks at the back? Yes, that's what he's done. It's as good as. It's completely fabricated lies. And you think it's okay? It doesn't need investigating? You're involved in the cover-up. You are involved in the cover-up. And who's surprised by this woman? A Lib Dem. One of the pedo protectors. from Rod Blythe's party and Cyril Smith's party, also involved in the cover-up. That's who these people are. They think they're clever. I need to phone this gentleman. Just give me 1 second and I'll... Peter Brown contacted me and wanted to come on and just give everyone an update on how his complaint is progressing. So I promised him he could... I'd give him a call. Let's see if I can get this to work.
Good evening, Raj.
Good evening, Peter. How are you doing?
Oh, not so bad, lad. Not so bad.
Good. Well, I can hear you, and I'm presuming people can hear you as well. So let me put the letter up, Peter, and you go for it. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, as you know, I asked Debbie Abrams, my elected MP, and she wrote a letter regarding either a meeting, via conversation, or to go down London with the relevant government minister, Robert Jenrick, regarding the serious concerns of Oldham Council. I think the last time I was on, Raja, you put the letters up so they can relate to that. Well, another one's been sent because after 5-6 months...
Just give me 1 second, Peter. I just need to turn the volume up, is what people are saying. So let me just turn you up full, and hopefully people can hear. Yeah, people can hear. So go on. You carry on.
Right. So Debbie Abrams wrote the letter to the government minister on the 29th of the 5th, 2020, regarding myself, regarding the serious concerns that I and other people, well, thousands of people of Oldham, have against Oldham Council. Numerous times I've phoned Debbie Abrams' office up. We still haven't had a reply. So I wrote a letter, posted it this week, direct to the Right Honourable Robert Jenrick, Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government. I'll read it out even though you're displaying it. Dear Robert Jenrick, it is with great fear and anxiety that I have had to write to you directly, as you have not replied to my elected MP, Debbie Abrams, for Oldham East and Saddleworth, who wrote to you regarding my very serious concerns about Oldham Council. The date of the letter Debbie sent to you was 29th of the 5th, 2020. Debbie has said to me when I keep asking if we have had a reply from you, that this government is aware of what is going on in Oldham regarding allegations of historic, safeguarding and criminal exploitation of children and young people. But also, are you aware, or do you wish to ignore the following, that the people of Oldham are subject to because of a conservative change to the Localism Act 2011? 1. The endorsement of a murder by an high-profile member of Oldham Council to a member of the public awarded with an MBE. 2. Lies, deceit, collusion, cover-up and closing of ranks towards the public. 3. Abuse of power in public office. 4. Standards hearings against councillors open to abuse because of their self-regulating to the council by the council to the public. 5. Postal vote fraud. This has to stop. Myself and others in Oldham who voted for the Conservatives in the general election did not vote for this. Thousands of Oldham people should not be subject to this abuse of power because of the change to the Localism Act 2011. And standards need to be brought back, especially in Oldham. Would you please show me the courtesy, Robert, of replying to my MP Debbie Abrams and to undertake a full government investigation into Oldham Council for the safeguarding, not only for the children, but for all the people of Oldham. And we should never have had to ask this request. Yours sincerely, Peter Brown. What I've asked you to do, Raja, you've got the copy.
I put it up there. So whilst you've been reading it out, it's been put up. So I put it up, and what I'll also do once I finish tonight is at the bottom of the thread that these posts are, I'll put these screen grabs up as well, so people can use it and copy it and do as they. Yep. So I'll do all of that.
I did make a spelling mistake.
I wouldn't worry. I picked it up from you earlier this week, didn't I? I met you in the B&Q car park near my mum's house, and I laughed. I didn't laugh at you, but I smiled to myself because it's a handwritten letter. And do you know something, Peter? When I remember sat in senior government ministers' offices, and the majority of correspondence from the members of the public were handwritten. You know, they weren't these typed up things. The majority of correspondence I saw was handwritten. You know, so and they read them. That's the other thing. They read them. They do read them.
Right, well, Her Majesty read them when I wrote to the Queen on another issue years and years ago. But good on Her Majesty, and I think if Her Majesty could intervene into politics, we won't be having this problem. But unfortunately, she can't. And what they forget is, and what they always keep saying when misdemeanours are brought to light, and the one that really sickened me to death was the MP's expenses scandal. And I only Googled it yesterday, and I wanted to know how many Labour councillors have been fiddling the expenses, and how many Conservatives and Lib Dems. You know, we must never, ever think of that. And these people have the cheek and the downright hypocrisy and gutlessness, and they'll stand there with their heads bowed at the cenotaphs for all ordinary working people who were conscripted, joined up to fight 2 world wars otherwise, and they stand there and they've been fiddling their damn expenses.
Well, let me just stop you. I'm sure people know, but let me share a story with you about a man called Andy Burnham, GM Mayor. You know, he's the guy Fielding's mate, yeah. And maybe this isn't fiddling expenses, but it definitely isn't in the spirit of the expenses that they're meant to claim. Once the government changed the rules, which meant that you can't claim for mortgage interest if you stayed in your own house whilst you're in London, you know, going to Parliament. Do you know what he did? He moved out of his own house, rented it out, and then went and rented one. So the government paid for the rent on the one he moved into, and he could claim the income from his own house. That's what he did.
They have ways of fiddling round it. You know, they just do. Regarding, you've just brought to light an instance. There was me, a friend of mine, ex-councillor Warren Bates, and I think Charlie. We were in Oldham doing a protest a couple of years ago. I think it was when the election, can't remember, Roger, whether it was for local elections, general elections. And there was a panpipe Red Indian where I wanted to do the protest. And he were on his panpipes, he were on full Aztec Indian dress, and I thought, I can't butt in on this, lad. I like the music. So he said, we'll move further up to where the Licklewards were.
Peter, I'll let you into a secret. I bought one of the guy's CDs. You know, they do it all over the place. And I remember I stood there for 20 minutes and I bought one of the CDs. I've still got it somewhere.
Yeah, I love it. Dead soothing, dead camp. Anyway, luck was in my way. Because at the top, where I were doing, I said, we'll stand here. And I said, I can't believe it. Debbie Abrams, Jim McMahon, Sean Fielding, and Andy Burnham were there. So I cranked up the megaphone and I said, to all the Labour lot there, you're spouting off. Please come to us and tell the people why we should carry on voting for you. Come on. And what did they do? There were one or two skittery remarks. I don't know who it came from, but they couldn't even have the courtesy to walk past me. And one of my mates who was standing with me, Steve, he went into Debbie Abrams' office and he says, you heard him? Why couldn't you come? He asked for your help. Why didn't you come round? And they wouldn't answer. They just cleared off. They cleared off. And regarding Andy Burnham, I did quite a long while fighting an EU directive. It was against toxic chemicals and poisons by our government, the EU overruled. I'm not going to go into it because it took 20 years of my bloody life, sickened to death. But Phil Wallace was our elected MP. And I went to Phil Wallace and I asked him why the EU have overruled what we did under Acts of Parliament. He wrote to Andy Burnham, and he was government minister. I have the letter.
Well, first time I ever met Andy Burnham, he was in the cabinet, so that's when I know him from health minister.
He was a government. He was a government minister.
Yeah, health minister when I first came across him.
Yeah, but the point is, Raja, we never got the courtesy of a reply from my elected MP, Phil Wallace, from Andy Burnham. He never gave us the courtesy of a reply, and it was his own damn party. Labour were in power.
Yeah.
And he couldn't give. So, I mean, I've had to write this. Debbie knew a fortnight ago, and unfortunately I've moved from Shaw, and I have informed Debbie's office. I said,
I bet she's relieved. Come on, I bet she's thinking
Jim McMahon won't be, because I'm under Jim McMahon. And I can't wait to introduce him, myself to him, because he were there when I asked for help. But what sickened me this week, Raja, I put a threat of murder, and I heard Debbie Barrett-Cole plea.
Yeah.
That she's frightened.
She is frightened. She is frightened. And she has every right to be frightened. These people are gangsters. They walk around, they sell heroin. Let's be clear. The Labour Party reliant on the cartels. These cartels are criminals. They traffic people. They sell drugs. They launder money. They walk around with guns and grenades. They kill people. They stab people. They rape people. They kidnap people. That's who they, and that's what they are, and that's who they are. It's not a joke, Peter.
No,
it really
listen,
isn't.
Raja, I have not, and you're well aware of it, and I was blatant, and I was blunt, and I was straight talking to you. And I told you that I had a meeting, and I informed you after I'd had a meeting with Debbie Abrams. And I said, I do not want to hear of a threat of murder. She warned me off from you. She warned me off because she said you was a dangerous man.
I am a dangerous man. I am a dangerous man because I do not fear them. That's why I'm a dangerous man.
Listen, I agree. I've had no help whatsoever, but I'll follow on and finish off with Debbie Abrams. And I said, Debbie, what have I just said to you? If Raj Mir is telling lies, wants prosecuted.
She failed. She failed.
If you're telling lies, Jim McMahon's telling lies, Sean Fielding, Borough Solicitor, all these people, it wants a full investigation. And the people who are found to be liars need prosecuted. I know where my thoughts are. And my thoughts are that I can't trust the council, and up to now, I can't really trust my MPs. We haven't had the courtesy of reply. Not minded about the COVID. COVID is a getaway from telling the truth. It's it just brushes things aside and everything's COVID. But
well, they can multitask, can't they? Let's be honest. They can multitask. Whatever your opinion, whatever opinions on COVID, they can multitask. And your thing has been ongoing for a time. So what are you going to, what's happening next now? In your mind, what's going to happen next?
Right, we'll just have to wait. You know what I've spoken to you about, and the letter, you've kindly put it out there.
Yeah, put it up there.
And I have said I'll wait a month. And after a month, if I haven't had a reply either from me, Debbie Abrams' office said, because the request I made when I was a short person will continue, and then that's finished, because I'm no longer in the, parliamentary borough. It could go to Jim McMahon, but she'll give me the courtesy of any correspondence. So we'll give Robert Jedrick 1 month. After 1 month, I'm going to send a letter direct to him once a week for another month. If we haven't had a reply in that month, it will be sent every day, and I will send it every day. When there's any misdemeanors, and I'll go back to the expenses scandal, and even Boris Johnson has stated, what we are forgetting, and I think this was when we're coming out of the EU, and there was people trying to block it, go against a democratic vote to leave the EU, and he said, what we are forgetting, we work for the public. Well, it's hypocrisy. They don't. And I'll tell you what happens. Our what can I say? Our role stops. Our role as the electorate stops once we've been to the ballot box, and it should never be. We should be listened to. They want more introduction, more conversation with ordinary people. Don't keep whoever's in power allowing school children to go down who are no threat to them. We want us. And we should be able, with serious allegations, and this to me is a very, very serious allegation.
Peter, go on. I'll let you finish, Peter.
I, as you know, shouted out at the council meeting, I do not want to hear of a threat of murder to a member of the public. Now, I've been listening to you, and I listened to other people. Debbie Abrams said, there will be prosecutions going on. Nothing's gone on. Nothing's happened. I agree that the police hold back. One instance 2 years ago, myself and ex-councillor Warren Bates, independent, booked in every damn protest I've done for over 3 years. All the paperwork has been sent to Oldham police. They knew everything, and we did a silent protest in the Civic Centre with a 12-foot banner. And it stretched right across where the tables are at the back, where councillors can meet constituents and where people come in. And it were in Oldham colours, barring the band on the target. It was a purple band, and it was striking. It made people look at it. And it says, this council allows lies, deceit, collusion and cover-up from elected councillors and highly paid council officers to the public. 12-foot banner. Press were notified, and this is the power of the press. None of them came out. None of them come out.
Peter, I'm gonna leave it there, I think, because I want to get through a whole host of stuff today, and I wanted to give you the time to make that point about Jenrick, and to leave it there in terms of how hard you've been trying and how long you've been fighting, and you're not the only one. So we know people like me, we've come and joined in. We just joined in. This is your fight, and you guys have been doing it longer than I have, and I have nothing but respect for all of you.
Yeah, but either myself. We've not been threatened with murder. Yourself and Debbie Barrett Cole have, and this has to stop. And it's the cover up. And
he had the nerve. He had the nerve to stand up in the council meeting and claim it wasn't true. How does he know it wasn't true? Has he spoke to the police? Has he spoke to me? Or did he speak to the people who I believe actually offered to kill me? These people are linked to the gangsters. They are linked to the cartels. Let there be no doubt amongst the people of my town who is in charge and who is in bed with who. Peter, thank you very, very, very much.
You keep safe, keep well, and keep on with your platform, because it's only our chance of speaking up where the council shut us up.
Thank you. And I think that's exactly what I'm here for. Thank you very, very much. And I'll speak to you soon. Stay safe, Peter. Bye-bye.
Keep safe. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Peter Brown. And his letter, I'll put that up later. And sorry earlier on with the sound low. I'd like to say it was something technological, but it wasn't. I'd not put the wire in properly into my phone. So it was something as silly as that, I'm afraid. So that's where we're up to. Okay, let me carry on. Trying to go at a pace here, because people have been calling me and saying 2 hours, 3 hours, and they all love it, but they prefer it shorter. And I have no intention of going on that long. It's just how it works, and the truth is I have very little idea what I'm doing. So let's move on. Anyone come across this guy? Paul Fryer. Paul Fryer. Clearly. So what's been going on is that the Labour Party have been mobilising their foot soldiers, from gangsters to people like Paul. They've been mobilising them, attempting to discredit me. I'm sure all of you have seen this stuff over the weekend. And I saw Debbie go live on Facebook yesterday, and she called me, and other people have been calling me. And like all of my friends know, I'm actually useless. On a Friday and Saturday, it's useless. I spend time with my daughter, and I do very little other than that. So, with the greatest of respect, I tend to have better things to do on a Saturday night than to post on Facebook and hope to get a reaction from someone. No, not my style. Anyway, Paul Fryer has been talking nonsense. First of all, the scumbag claims I used a homophobic insult against him that was removed, though he screenshotted it first. Here's his full post. There you go. Remember, I'm a racist. I'm a far-right activist. I'm a race baiter. I'm a misogynist. And now I'm a homophobe. There's a problem, or two problems actually, with Paul's position on calling me a homophobe. And then he calls me, you can see, because I was on Richie Allen's show, he calls me an anti-Semite. So I'm a homophobe and I'm an anti-Semite. Now, that there's a problem with both of those things, Paul. Because you don't know me, you scumbag. The first problem, Paul, is it's the Labour Party who are the anti-Semites. Proven. It's you lot who are racists. In fact, you even hate all the Muslims as well, because the Labour Party did a survey this week that was published. And you, in the same way you're anti-Semitic and hate all the Jews, you also hate all the Muslims. But the problem with calling me a homophobe, Paul, is you don't know me. One, and it's not some of my best friends are gay nonsense. One, the Equality and Human Rights Act and the Equalities Duty. It's a matter of public record, you numpty. I helped introduce gay rights into the curriculum across this country. That's right, an Asian Muslim guy helped introduce gay rights and teaching about gay rights and protecting gay people into the curriculum in schools across this country. Pillock. Secondly, the Islamist, jihadist Labour Party mate of yours, called Qasim Lenny, self-declared mate of Arood Shah, runs Oldham News and Media, has referenced me as a gay Christian convert. That referencing me of a gay Christian convert is an endorsement or an encouragement of jihadists to come and behead me. And do you know what I did, Paul? I refused to deny any of those, because I knew that if I was to deny that I was a Christian convert, or if I was to deny I was gay, then I would be cowardly endorsing these people to demonize and attack people who are gay. And so I put myself at more risk by refusing to deny that I'm not gay. And you call me a homophobe, and you've screenshotted it. You're a liar. And your anti-Semitism stuff. Because I went on the Richie Allen show, who somehow I'm an anti-Semite. This is him. Apparently he's a parish councillor. Where do we people in this town vote these scumbags in from? How? And if I'm an anti-Semite because I shared a platform with Richie Allen, who I don't believe is an anti-Semite, by the way. Maggie Oliver, months before me, shared a platform with Richie Allen. Is Maggie Oliver an anti-Semite now? Labour Party scumbag. And of course, the faithful dog, Willa Boobies, has to join in. Look who he's now resorted to engaging on Oldham News and Media. I have reported Oldham News and Media to the anti-terrorism squad. I believe Oldham News and Media is run by jihadists. I'm not joking. I believe Oldham News and Media is run by jihadists, Islamists. Members of the Glodic Cartel who are now all doing these aid missions to Yemen. Yeah, aid missions, my arse. More like drug runs and money laundering. And to put into context why people are afraid, in this town. These are the people we are up against. Now we know all about Irish Jimmy and Arood Shah's relationship with him. We know all about Arood Shah's brother. The other lad, Zia Hussain, kidnapped, tortured and sexually abused his victims. That's them on a Labour Party night during her election. And somehow we're at fault. Come on then, mate. How about you call out your own scum? He's not going to do it, is he? No. He's not going to do it at all. Hey, it's Oldham. I didn't know you were on, pal. I shared your... I sung your praises earlier for the Jay Beecher thing, because I know how hard you worked to make that happen. So, yeah. I've got a few minutes for questions, and I was speaking to a friend of mine who said, Roger, you need to finish with a bit of humour. So I'm going to finish with a bit of humour by... Paul sent me a sound clip months ago that he's been working on. So, Paul, I reckon this thing needs to be released as a single, or we need to get it out there just before the elections next year, to a video. You'll see once I put it up. It's It's it'll make you smile, Paul. But I just can't phantom it. So this barefaced liar, Sean Fielding, barefaced liar, at the council meeting, he tried to weasel. And I talked about it last week, but I wanted to compile both bits for you so you can see for yourself. I think he's a liar. I'm looking at the camera and I'm calling him a liar. I know he's a liar because he lied about me in writing to other people's employers trying to get me sacked. Well, trying to get them sacked. Can't get me sacked, mate. I work for myself. But he tried to weasel his way out and quantify his barefaced lie statement. And you can see from when I play it, he makes it sound as though it had nothing to do. He's quantifying it. He had nothing to do with child sex exploitation. Forget for a moment that he made that speech immediately after Jackie Stanton had got up, the former Lib Dem deputy leader, who is a decent lady, who'd got up and complained about the child sex exploitation allegations. So he was responding to her. And he's trying to claim it wasn't to do with CSE. No. Watch this and you judge for yourself if he's a liar or not. Because I think he's a liar. And I think he should be arrested. And over 500 people now think he should be arrested. So please, if you haven't, go and sign the petition. Please go and sign the petition. Please help get this man and his scumbags out of our town. I will see you all next week.
That's right, yeah, I got an agenda. And it's your money that I'm gonna spend, yeah. Am I real? Well, I guess it depends where you're at now and how it was that you got there. And when I get around to giving my reply, they'll be sugar-coated, overloaded, super-worded, bare-faced lies.
The third thing was the barefaced lies stuff. So I have responded to a similar question to a number of people via email a number of months ago, but I note that my comments do not make it onto the social media pages of those individuals because sadly they don't fit the narrative that is trying to be presented. So I'll just read out what I said last time. So the transcript of what I said at the meeting was, over the last few months, there have been daily postings on social media about planning and historic planning in terms of, planning building consents and historic safeguarding incidents, the two of which are, as you will appreciate, are completely unrelated. These allegations have been combined with a series of online personal attacks on councillors, residents, MPs and council officers, and often come from people with a clear political agenda. Too often, however, the allegations and claims made online are barefaced lies. The response to the question can be found online in the recording of the meeting where that took place. And you can see that I said that too often the claims online are barefaced lies. Too often qualifies the remark that...
That's right, yeah, I got an agenda. And it's your money that I'm gonna spend, yeah. Am I real? Well, I guess it depends where you're at now and how it was that you got there. And when I get around to giving my reply, they'll be sugar-coated, overloaded, super-worded, bare-faced lies.
Over the last few months, there have been daily postings on social media about planning and historic safeguarding incidents. These allegations have been combined with a series of personal online attacks on councillors, residents, MPs and council officers, and often come from people with a clear political agenda, such as the former Liberal Democrat deputy leader of Oldham Council stood before us. We will always take action where appropriate, including the recently announced review into historic safeguarding led by Dr. Mark Peel. Too often, however, the allegations and claims made online are barefaced lies, designed purely to... I'll say that again, are barefaced lies, designed...
That's right, yeah, I got an agenda. And it's your money that I'm gonna spend, yeah. Am I real? Well, I guess it depends where you're at now and how it was that you got there. And when I get around to giving my reply, they'll be sugar-coated, overloaded, super-worded, bare-faced lies.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.